Hi and welcome back to Biblical Reality Check. In our previous video, we learned that when God tells Moses, "I am that I am," God isn't giving Moses a name. It's revealing that God is existence itself, the self-sustaining reality that needs no definition, no source, no permission. And if the foundation of reality simply is, then everything within it, including us, also. By that same principle. Our identity isn't a fixed label like mother, father, lawyer, bookkeeper, or any of the other names we use to navigate physical life. Those are descriptions, not definitions. Our true identity is I am, a construct that can be shaped rather than an absolute that traps us. And that matters because identity isn't just philosophy. It's a survival skill for creators navigating a chaotic world. In this video, we're going to focus on identity and how we shape it so we become aligned with who and what we truly are. For Moses, this revelation isn't abstract philosophy, it's empowerment. If the source of reality defines itself by itself, then anything that arises from that source carries that same self-existing foundation. Moses is not the source, but he is rooted in it. His identity isn't limited to the labels of shepherd, fugitive, or outsider. Those are roles, not essence. His essence is being, an awareness grounded in the same self-sustaining reality that spoke from the bush. And once he recognizes that, he realizes his identity is not fixed but flexible, a construct that can be rewritten. Just like Moses, we're not defined by our past roles. We're defined by what we choose to become. His mission then becomes helping the Israelites rewrite their own code, from a mindset of slave to a mindset aligned with I am that I am. I am is the operating system of the mind. It shapes the construct of our existence. Every thought you think, every word you speak, and every action you take becomes part of your being. Think of I am as the root code. Everything else is a program built on top of it. So if I am is the operating system of the mind, the question becomes, how do we actually use it? How do we consciously shape identity instead of having others shape it for us? The answer is simple, but not easy. We use I am intentionally instead of unconsciously. We stop reinforcing identities we don't want and start coding the ones we do. Let's decode how to use I am as a tool, not just a concept, so you can see how the architecture of I am shows up in your daily life. The practical application of I am begins with awareness, noticing the identities we reinforce without realizing it. Every time you say, I am tired, I am overwhelmed, I am not good enough, you're not describing a moment. You're coding a construct. You're writing the blueprint your mind will follow, whether you mean to or not. The first step in creating the identity you want is observation. It's noticing the labels you've accepted, the patterns of thought and behavior you repeat, and deciding whether to keep or discard them. It's noticing the stories you've allowed to define you, and asking, is this identity aligned with who I truly am? Or is it a leftover from fear, conditioning, or survival? You get to decide which stories stay, and which ones get rewritten. The next step is intentionality. Say, I am, with the recognition of what is already true in the deeper layers of your being. When you say, I am capable, you're not trying to convince yourself, you're aligning with the part of you that already is. When you say, I am discerning, you're activating architecture that was always there. When you say, I am willing, you're opening the door for the next assignment. Try saying, I am, followed by a truth you've forgotten, and feel the shift. Using, I am, to program your mind to what is already within you, but gets lost in the business of coping, surviving, and fitting into a physical world that often contradicts the universal laws your being thrives on, is anything but easy. It takes constant learning, vigilance in noticing your thoughts, and diligence in changing them when required, so that any actions arising from them are in alignment with what you want to reflect in your external environment. It's hard work, and many of us, including Moses, get tired and give up when the going gets too tough. But the ones who persist, who reprogram their minds, become architects of reality. When the Israelites come grumbling to Moses, wanting to go back to Egypt because at least there they had food and shelter, they're revealing something deeper. They couldn't handle the rigors of freedom while still retaining a slave mindset. It had become too hard. What they needed was a leader with the vision of what freedom looks like, and the stamina, grit, knowledge, tools, and resolve to bring them on board. But at that point, Moses was very old, very tired, and frankly sick of their grumbling. Instead of teaching them how to shift from dependence to sovereignty, from accepting what is given to creating what is needed, he caves to their demands. He creates an environment much like the one they had in Egypt, where hundreds of Mosaic laws dictate what they do during their waking and sleeping hours. When leadership caves to fear, the laws become chains. But what happens when there's no leader, no law, just you and the void? The 10 Commandments were inspired laws, simple, foundational principles that could have protected the Israelites both individually and collectively if they had internalized them. But even inspired laws are still rules, and human nature being what it is, rules alone rarely transform anyone. People follow them when convenient and ignore them when fear or desire takes over. The deeper opportunity, the one Moses didn't take, was to teach the Israelites why those 10 principles mattered, to show them how alignment with those laws would create abundance, stability, and sovereignty from the inside out. If he had reinforced that understanding daily, those principles could have become part of their internal operating system rather than external commands imposed on them. Because our external reality always mirrors our internal reality. And whether consciously or not, Moses ended up creating an external structure that reflected the Israelites' internal state: fear, dependence, and the lingering mindset of slavery. Without an inner shift, even divine laws become another form of control rather than a pathway to freedom. Identity is not a title we inherit. It's a construct we shape. Moses learned that the moment he stopped letting labels define him and started using I am as the architecture of his mind. And the same is true for us. Every thought we reinforce, every story we accept, every I am we speak becomes part of the internal code that shapes our external world. But identity is only the beginning, because even when we align with who we truly are, life still brings pressure, conflict, misunderstanding, and moments that shake the ground beneath us. I am gives us the blueprint, but the laws of reality determine how that blueprint interacts with the world around us. And that's where the next layer of this journey begins. The Bible doesn't just teach identity. It teaches the universal laws that govern how identity expresses itself. Laws that show up in physics, in consciousness, and in the smallest human interactions. These laws hum beneath everything we do, whether we're navigating a cosmic test like Job or a workplace conflict that exposes our own internal programming. Which brings us to the perfect next step. In the story of Job, we meet a man whose identity, faith, and worldview are stripped down to the bone, and then rebuilt through alignment with the deeper laws of existence. Job's journey isn't just about suffering, it's about resilience. It's about how the hum of reality responds when identity meets adversity. And it's a story that mirrors the same laws at work in our everyday lives, even in moments as ordinary as a misunderstanding at a coffee shop. So in the next episode, we're going to step into that hum, the laws, the rhythm, the polarity, the vibration, and explore how Job's story and our own experiences reveal the mechanics of reality itself. Because once you understand I am, the next question becomes, how does reality respond when you use it? That's where we're headed next. Thanks for watching.